Welcome back to the Next Gen Podcast. I'm your host, Brooks Huber, joined alongside by Andrew Christensen. In today's Christmas episode, we'll be going over what's next for the Jets, Hurts or Wentz for 2021, who's getting in from the NFC East, and much more. Are you ready for today's episode, Andrew?
Yeah, it sounds like we have a great list of topics for the listeners, so let's dive right in.
So, last week, the Jets managed to pull off a win over the Rams last week, 23-20 at SoFi Stadium, to earn their first victory of the 2020 campaign, and in the process of losing their rights to Trevor Lawrence. So my question to you is, what's next for the Jets?
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting question. If you watch the Jets previously play the Raiders a few weeks back, it was obvious that the Jets kind of threw that game away. They allowed that Hail Mary at the end. So it was shocking to really see them play this game out and to come away with that win. But as a Jets fan, I could see how it'd be very upsetting. They probably won't get Trevor Lawrence as long as the Jaguars don't win. But, you just need to look at the players in the NFL. They made it to where they are because of their competitive spirit and their, willing to sacrifice to win. So it's really hard to go out as a coach and tell your players to throw a game. So, props to them. I really do think the Rams are a great team, and I think they could make some noise in the playoffs. So not only did the Jets get a win, but they beat a really good team.
So what's next for them draft-wise in March?
Definitely the first thing is I think the Jets will fire Adam Gase. It's not easy, or it's not that hard to see that he's not a very good coach. And I think once he's gone and they hire a new coaching staff, that Darnold definitely has a future. Watching him, he has a lot of potential. He's a mobile quarterback. We've seen some pretty spectacular plays out of him. So I think they'll kind of ride with Darnold in the future and maybe look at drafting Oregon's offensive tackle. I think he would be a tremendous pair with their former 2020 offensive tackle selection. So, that'd be back-to-back years drafting offensive linemen, so they definitely would be up there to have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL.
Yeah, I think they should also stick with Darnold. I'm looking at the Jaguars schedule right now, and they play the Bears this week and then the Colts. The only game that I could possibly see them winning is the Bears game, and I don't even think that's possible. So if I'm the Jets, I'm obviously firing Adam Gase. I'm letting their GM, who's been doing a good job in his first draft, I'm letting him pick a new head coach that will keep Darnold, and not just a quarterback coach. They need a coach that will fit a culture that they want and that can overall, help that locker room. And I think they'll trade back from the 2 spot in the draft to build assets around and to help Darnold out even more. I don't think a tackle would be beneficial for Darnold. I feel like he needs more weapons, and I think if you trade back to before the picks of like the Dolphins or Eagles, and you're able to snag one of those top wide receivers like Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase, I think that would help Darnold's progression out a lot. And then you also have the Seahawks pick as well. So if they can trade back and get more valuable assets with how their GM's first draft went, and if their second draft is any more like that, I think they'll be very happy.
Yeah, I definitely do think they need a wide receiver. The one thing is, I see it. I don't see them moving back in the draft. I definitely think their fans are upset enough, and so, if they did move back, it might be a better play for them. But I just see them sticking at that number 2 spot and looking to get a player there. So it will be interesting to see how it shakes out. But ultimately, as a Jets fan, you have to be pretty upset that you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. But what's done is done, and hopefully they can look towards the future. All right, Brooks. After watching Jalen Hurts play pretty well the past 2 games, I'm curious to think what your thoughts are for the 2021 season. Do you think the Eagles are going to have Hurts or Wentz as their starting quarterback next year?
I mean, ultimately, looking at the potential Hurts shows and how well he played last week and the week before that, I mean, I ultimately think that they're going to go with Hurts. In Jalen Hurts' 2 career starts, he has 555 passing yards, 5 total touchdowns, and 169 rushing yards. He has been very dominant, and he's been able to put up points, and play clean football, which is what Carson Wentz was lacking this year. And I ultimately think that Coach Doug Peterson is better with Jalen Hurts than he was this year with Carson Wentz. So I think it would be best interest money wise and chemistry wise and on the field playing that they move on from Carson Wentz. I don't know how many suitors would jump on that or what they could get for him. I'm guessing a second or third round pick. I mean, his contract is so bad. He's a talented quarterback. I just don't think his time in Philly's been working out, and I think it's time for a break. I could see him going to the Colts or whatnot, reuniting with Frank Reich, who made him so well in that 2017 MVP season. But yeah, I'm taking Jalen Hurts to be the starter in 2021.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I do believe it's going to be Hurts next year, but I want to kind of bring up a bold take here, but I firmly believe that Wentz will be a future Pro Bowl quarterback. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be with the Eagles. A matter of fact, I don't think it's going to be with the Eagles. And there's a few reasons, but number one, I mean, Hurts really fits the mold for up and coming quarterbacks in the NFL. He's definitely a very mobile quarterback that likes to run. He's definitely better at running than Wentz. But he does have a little inaccuracies as expected with a rookie. But I mean, you look at quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, who are all star quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and they really have strong run games. They're able to escape the pocket and kind of find those extra running lanes and stuff like that that really open up the offense. So I think he kind of fits that mold a little bit more than Wentz, and that's why the Eagles are going to like him. And secondly, the Philadelphia fans are extremely hard on their players. It's one of the most brutal fan bases. I mean, with that being said, they just really care about their team. So I think a lot of talking to some Eagles fans and just looking online, they definitely are pretty upset with Wentz, and I just don't really see a lot of Eagles fans accepting Wentz back. And so, it'd be a lot of pressure on Doug Peterson to put Wentz back in as starter, because if he would fail again, then Doug Peterson's future is probably over with the Eagles. So I see them moving forward with Hurts, but don't be surprised if you see Wentz going to another team and finding success there.
Yeah, I feel like Jalen Hurts kind of did save Doug Peterson's job. I thought if they stuck out with Wentz for the rest of the year that Peterson would have been gone. But, Hurts saved him. So he lives another day as the Eagles head coach. I think he'll stay with the team past this year, but who knows? And yeah, I do agree with that Pro Bowl take. I think Wentz will be a Pro Bowl caliber player. He just needs to be on the right team and a team that believes in him and a city that believes in him, because Philadelphia just isn't it anymore. So, Wentz will be back on his feet soon again, but right now it's Jalen Hurts time. So let's transition from the Eagles into like the entire NFC East. The NFC East went from the NFC least to looking not terrible in a matter of a few weeks. So my question for you is, who's getting in from the NFC East?
Yeah, not terrible is a good word. I definitely think there's some better football being played in that division, but still definitely a lot of weak spots. But ultimately, looking at the standings, with Washington on top, the division is pretty much up for grabs. As it goes from there, Brooks, who do you think can pull out the victories and come out and play in the playoffs?
I mean, I honestly think that if Dwayne Haskins starts this Sunday after seeing how the Panthers stuck with it versus the Packers last Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won the division. Hurts is playing well. I think that if they'll easily beat the Cowboys this week, I think they'll beat the football team in week 17. And I think Washington only need to win one game. And if Haskins is the quarterback, I don't trust them versus the Panthers. If Alex Smith is, I think that's still a tough bargain to ask for. So, it might not be the most popular pick right now, but give me the Eagles. Jalen Hurts, he's a born winner. That's what I said before he got drafted, and I was confident that he was going to be a good star. I didn't like where he got drafted too. Thought there was better places to go, but I think he can pull out this division.
Yeah, I think one thing that's important to note is that the Eagles do have a tie. So if it does come down to it and they're tied with one of the other teams in win columns, they will ultimately get it because of that tie. However, like you stated, the Washington football team has the Panthers coming up, and although they are uncertain about their quarterback right now, I absolutely love the Washington's defense. They have been dominant, and I believe they've really carried them to the position they're at. So I do see Washington probably coming out with that win. It's kind of a toss in the air, but obviously if they do, they have that division. So for that reason, I want to lean towards the football team coming out because I do think that they'll come out strong this week against the Panthers and see if they can lock up that division.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because there's really three teams that are in the thick of it, but two that you can really see making it. It'll all come down to the Panthers game this week for Washington. They can take care of business. They got the division. If not, it'll come down to a week 17 battle for NFC East title. Well, Andrew, for our last segment today, in the spirit of Christmas, we have unleashed a new segment called Christmas Chaos. We'll name 3 different Christmas gifts, and we will say how they relate to the NFL. Starting off with the PS5. Andrew, how do you relate that shiny new toy to the NFL today?
Yeah, I definitely think kids around the U.S. are super excited to get the PS5. It's definitely something that's pretty rare. So if you get it, it's definitely one of a kind, and you're pretty lucky to have it. So I'm relating the PS5 to Jonathan Taylor. And here's why, Brooks. Jonathan Taylor coming out of college was very hyped up, just like the PS5, everyone wants it. However, after you unwrap it and start playing it, you're like, yeah, this is pretty good, but it's not like that much different than the old one. So I think with Jonathan Taylor at the beginning of the year, people were a little let down, but a lot of it had to do with the Colts usage in him. But by the end of the year, he is looking like an absolute stud. And just like the PS5, you're going to use him for years to come. He's definitely a gift that you love to receive, and you know that it's going to be reliable for a long time to come.
Yeah, for the PS5, I would have to go with Justin Herbert. He's like that shiny new toy that you show up to all your friends, and that performs better than your other friends' consoles. He's what every kid would love to have, but very few get. And the Chargers got lucky to get that shiny new console. They ordered Herbert off pre-order, got him before anybody else could. And now other teams are going to pay the price of hearing his name for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick, Brooks. Herbert is definitely one of those shiny toys, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the future. All right, the next present I want to ask you about is what in the NFL reminds you of a Christmas present like socks?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Leonard Fournette, running back for the Bucks. Socks, you really don't want it You know, you already have socks, you don't really need them, but they serve purpose. So I'm giving this one to Fournette because he was a healthy scratch 2 weeks ago. Bucks don't really need him. They've been riding with Ronald Jones. But then when Jones goes down, Fournette, he serves a purpose and gets 2 touchdowns last week. So Fournette is my socks.
All right, Brooks. For socks, I think I'm going to go with Le'Veon Bell. And the reason is because when October, November roll around and you're walking around with holes in your socks, you realize that you need a new pair. But on Christmas, when you unwrap those socks, you're not super thrilled. Just the way that Chiefs fans haven't really been super thrilled with how Le'Veon Bell has been performing. But in the end, it's something that you realize that you need. And with Clyde Edwards-Helaire going out, the Chiefs definitely need Le'Veon Bell. So I think that's my take on this one.
Yeah, that's a good take. A lot of running backs in the league now could be considered socks with the shelf life of them. So it's just one of those things. For our last gift in the Christmas chaos segment, how about Madden 21? What's the Madden 21 of the NFL?
All right, Brooks. I'm going to relate Saquon Barkley to Madden 21. And the reason why is because every year you're super excited to get it, just like everyone's excited to get that new Madden game. But after you start playing it, you're a little bit disappointed. You realize like it's basically the same as the last versions. Just the way that Saquon has been hurt the past couple years. The fan base, the New York Giants, are definitely really excited about him every year, and unfortunately, he's gotten hurt the past 2 years. So he's been a little bit disappointing in that aspect. Obviously, you can't control that, but I do believe that in the future, just like one of these Madden games one day will blow you out of the water, I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a breakout season, and it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, I'm going to stick in the NFC East. My Madden 21 is the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason why I make this comparison is because whenever a new Madden comes out, EA hypes the game up to make it seem like a lot better than it was a year ago. And I think the media does the same with the Cowboys. Every year it's supposed to be better than the last, and they're supposed to improve. And just like Madden, we really haven't seen much of that the past few years by both sides. So that's why I make the comparison between Madden 21 and the Dallas Cowboys. With the Christmas Chaos segment concluding, we would like to first and foremost wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. I would also like to add how grateful I am for each and one of you subscribers and followers that I have. I love you guys and thank you for watching this week's episode. I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.